everyone, welcome to Big Science Academy. I am Rituparna Das and today we are going to discuss about the part 2 of the excretion system. And in this part 2 we will discuss about the countercurrent mechanism and juxtaglomerular apparatus. So let's start with the countercurrent mechanism system. So what is countercurrent mechanism? It is a system that expends energy to create a concentration gradient, and where it is found, it is widely found in nature and especially in mammalian organs, and it can refer to the process of urine formation, that is the production of the hypertonic urine by the mammalian kidney, and it depends on the special anatomical arrangement of the vasa recta and the loop of Henle, the specialized peritubular capillaries of the renal medulla. So first we will discuss about the countercurrent exchange system in the vasa recta. So there are two special features of the renal medullary blood flow that contribute to the preservation of the high solute concentration, and the first one is done by the vasa recta. The vasa recta serve as countercurrent exchangers, and it helps to minimize the washout of solutes from the medullary interstitium. Only 1 to 2% of the total renal blood flows through the vasa recta, and we can see that the blood flows in opposite directions in two limbs of the vasa recta. When plasma flowing down the descending limb of the vasa recta, it becomes more hyper concentrated because water diffuses out of the blood and solute diffuses into the descending limb of the vasa recta, and at the bottom of the vasa recta the concentration of the blood is highest, which is 1200 osmoles per liter. In the ascending limb of the vasa recta, solutes diffuses back into the interstitial fluid and water diffuses back into the vasa recta, and again making the blood concentration 350 osmoles per liter. Now the second one is Henle's loop and the countercurrent mechanism in the loop of Henle. So we all know that the tubular part of the nephron is consist of loop of Henle and collecting tubules, and loop of Henle consists of two parallel limbs of renal tubules, and these two limbs are running in opposite directions. They are descending limb and ascending limb. Before we are going to discuss about the countercurrent mechanism in Henle's loop, we have to know some special features of descending limb, ascending limb and collecting tubule. So there is an carrier protein which is called aquaporin. It is a mainly transporter protein for water channel, and it is present in all cells except the ascending limb of the loop of Henle. And due to the presence of aquaporin protein, descending limb is permeable to water, but it is impermeable to solutes. And in the ascending limb, due to the lack of aquaporin protein, ascending limb is impermeable to water, but in the other hand ascending limb is permeable to solutes. And ultimately in the collecting tubule is also permeable to water, and the permeability is controlled by the ADH, which is secreted from the posterior part of the pituitary gland. Now we will discuss about the countercurrent mechanism. When filtrate enters into the descending limb of the loop of Henle, the concentration is about 200 osmoles per liter. As we all know that due to the presence of aquaporin protein, carrier protein, the descending limb is permeable to water. So water diffuses from the descending limb into the interstitial fluid, and it helps to make the filtrate more concentrated. And at the bottom of the loop of Henle, we can see that the concentration is about 1200 osmoles per liter. But when filtrate travels through the ascending limb of the loop of Henle, and due to the lack of aquaporin protein, the ascending limb is impermeable to water, but it is permeable to solutes. So solute diffuses from the ascending limb into the interstitial fluid and making the filtrate again hypotonic. And ultimately, when filtrate travels through the distal convoluted tubule and reaches the collecting tubule, we all know that the collecting tubule is permeable to water, and this permeability is controlled by the ADH hormone. So, due to the permeability of the water of the collecting tubule, water goes out from the collecting tubule and making the filtrate again hypertonic, and ultimately it produces a urine which is hypertonic in nature. So behind the countercurrent exchange systems, there are three main mechanisms. They are pump, equilibria and shift steps. The first one is pump. The sodium ion, potassium ion, chloride ion transporter in the ascending limb of the loop of Henle helps to create a gradient by shifting sodium ion into the medullary space. But due to the lack of aquaporin, the thick ascending limb impermeable to water, and the action of the sodium ion, potassium ion and chloride ion transporter therefore creates hypertonic solution in the tubular fluid. The next one is equilibration. Due to the presence of aquaporin in the descending limb of the loop of Henle, water reabsorptions occur and making the fluid again hypertonic. And the last one is shift. The movement of fluid through the tubules causes the hypertonic fluid to move further down the loop, and repeating many cycles causes fluid to be near isotonic at the top of the Henle's loop and very concentrated at the bottom of the loop. And by these three mechanisms like pump, equilibration and shift, the main countercurrent mechanism is happened. Now we will discuss about some extra notes, like animals with a need for very concentrated urine such as desert animals have a very long loop of Henle to create a very large osmotic gradient. But the animals that have abundant water on the other hand, like beavers, have very short loops. Now we will discuss about the second portion of this part 2. This one is juxtaglomerular apparatus. So the juxtaglomerular apparatus or the juxtaglomerular complex is a structure of the kidney that regulates the function of each nephron. Here we can see that the juxtaglomerular apparatus, and here is the broad picture of the juxtaglomerular apparatus. So first we have to know why it is named as juxtaglomerular apparatus. So juxta means next, and this apparatus found next to the glomerulus, and that's why it is named as juxtaglomerular apparatus, and it is situated between the afferent arteriole and the distal convoluted tubule of the same nephron. So what is the function of the juxtaglomerular apparatus? It is responsible for the obligatory reabsorption of water. And this juxtaglomerular apparatus consists of three types of cells. The first one is macula densa, second one is juxtaglomerular cells, and the final one is extraglomerular mesangial cells or Lassie cells. So first we will discuss about the macula densa. Here we can see the picture of the macula densa. It is the part of the distal convoluted tubule of the same nephron, and it is an area of closely packed specialized cell lining the wall of the distal tubule at the point where the thick ascending limb meets the distal convoluted tubules. And what is the function of the macula densa? It helps to control vital kidney functions, renal blood flow and glomerular filtration. Next we will discuss about the juxtaglomerular cells. Here is the juxtaglomerular cells of the juxtaglomerular apparatus. These cells are also known as granular cells. They are specialized smooth muscle cells mainly in the walls of the afferent arterioles and some in the efferent arterioles that deliver blood to the glomerulars. And what is the function of the juxtaglomerular cells? It synthesizes, stores and secretes an enzyme which is called renin, and this enzyme is very important and it plays a critical role in the renin-angiotensin system and in autoregulation of the kidney. The last one is extraglomerular mesangial cells or Lassie cell. Okay, here is the Lassie cells. And these Lassie cells are also known as Pulkyson cells. And they resemble smooth muscle cells. What is the function of the Lassie cells or Pulkyson cells? It plays a role in the renal autoregulation of the kidney. So now we will discuss about the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. The renin-angiotensin system or renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system is a hormone-based system that regulates blood pressure and fluid balance. And the system is activated when blood volume decreased and the sodium ion concentration is also decreased. And then it stimulates the kidney to produce renin enzyme. At the same time, from the liver, and a proenzyme is secreted which is called angiotensinogen. By the action of the renin, angiotensinogen is converted into angiotensin 1. And when angiotensin 1 travels through the blood and reaches the lung, from the lung an enzyme is secreted which is called angiotensin converting enzyme. By the action of the angiotensin converting enzyme, angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2. Now, angiotensin 2 acts on the arterioles and it causes vasoconstriction of the arterioles. And then the blood pressure in the glomerulus becomes increased and the production of the filtrate is also increased. And ultimately, sodium ion concentration becomes normal and the blood pressure and blood volume also increased. On the other hand, by the action of the angiotensin 2, adrenal cortex secretes aldosterone. And by the action of the aldosterone, reabsorption of the sodium ion occurs and obligatory water reabsorption also occurs. And then ultimately, sodium ion concentration becomes normal and the blood pressure and the blood volume also increased. And on the other hand, angiotensin 2 stimulates the pituitary gland to secrete ADH. And by the action of the ADH hormone, water reabsorption occurs and ultimately sodium ion concentration becomes normal and the blood pressure also increased. And while all the situations are normal, it inhibits the production of the renin enzyme. Now, we will discuss about the feedback mechanism. Juxtaglomerular apparatus plays an important role in helping to control the nephric function by providing feedback signals to both afferent and efferent arterioles. So first we will discuss about the afferent arteriolar vasodilator feedback mechanism. If less amount of glomerular filtrate, that is less amount of sodium ion, potassium ion, chloride ions goes to the distal convoluted tubules, it activates the macula densa and that causes the arteriolar dilation of the afferent arterioles. This in turn increases the blood pressure in the glomerulus and due to the increased blood pressure, the filtrate production is also increased and ultimately the situation becomes normal. And in the efferent arteriolar vasoconstriction feedback mechanism system, if less amount of glomerular filtrate, that is less amount of sodium ion, potassium ion and chloride ions goes into the distal convoluted tubules, it activates the juxtaglomerular apparatus. The renin causes the formation of the angiotensin 2 by the process of renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, and the angiotensin 2 constricts the efferent arteriole, which leads to the increasement of the glomerular blood pressure. And due to the high blood pressure, the filtrate production is also increased and the situations becomes normal. Now here is the end of the part 2. The next part will be coming soon. Thank you. If you like this video, please subscribe this channel. Click on the bell icon for further notifications and follow us on Facebook and Telegram app. Thank you once again.